So when is council tax payable by landlords? Because there are cases when council tax is payable by landlords, okay? So let's just have a quick look about a case. Anybody in here heard about this? Leeds v Broadley, because I have talked about this before. I'm just going to talk about it briefly again. Guys, be careful with rolling contracts. Rolling contracts, unless your tenancy agreement states otherwise, go into what's called a statutory periodic tenancy. A statutory periodic tenancy by law is a monthly tenancy, month by month, that is renewable. Basically, every month it rolls, it becomes a new tenancy. So it's deemed that that tenancy is a 1 month tenancy because landlord can serve notice, tenant can serve notice. There was a case a few years ago, Leeds v Broadley, where basically the council tax went after Mr. Broadley, the landlord, for council tax on 5 of his properties. They used the fact that they were in a rolling contract, tenants had left, or whatever the case was, they went after him for council tax on 5 of his properties. The reason why they didn't win, and it did go, I think, to the High Court, I don't think it went any further, but it did get to the High Court. The reason that Leeds City Council did not win this claim against Mr. Broadley was because within his tenancy agreement, he had a clause that stated the contract didn't become a statutory periodic tenancy, it became a contractual rolling tenancy. So therefore, the month-by-month contractual rolling was not deemed as a new tenancy every month. It was an extension of the existing tenancy. So what I would say to you is if you've got any contracts that are in a rolling contract, just check whether you're in SPT or what we now call CPT. All of the landlords that we manage tenancies for, we've done this for you. We've tried to, if you've been in agreement, we've put your tenants into new fixed terms with the relevant clause in place so that the council tax will never come after you because contractually the tenants are obligated. And that then brings me on to the reason why this is, because the landlord is responsible for the council tax on any tenancies less than 6 months. So if you do a 3-month contract with a tenant, you actually legally, under council tax regulations, are responsible for the council tax. Most people don't know this and most tenants don't know this and they accept that it's their responsibility and will pay. But if I was a tenant and entered a 3-month contract and I know that I'm not responsible, I'm likely to say to the landlord, I'm not responsible because I know I'm not. And you are under this rule. So be careful with entering any tenancies less than 6 months because you could become liable for the council tax. And that's where the SPT contract came into play because remember I said every month it's deemed a new 1-month tenancy. Other areas is if the property is a HMO, landlords are responsible for the council tax. Okay, in a HMO, landlords are responsible for the council tax, can't be passed to the tenants. And also in other cases where there are more than one tenancy on a property. Several years ago, a lot of landlords became really creative and started seeing a loophole, as we were discussing in the break. They found a loophole in housing benefit. And they took a standard £500 house, let it to 2 couples or 2 makeups of family, it's called 2 plus 2, and charged housing benefit full rate to both, so ended up with double rent income. Now it's completely and utterly legal and it's allowable through housing benefit, but what that would make you is liable for the council tax because you have 2 tenancies operating on 1 dwelling and therefore landlord is responsible for the council tax. It's not happening as much anymore, but it was some time ago. But bear that in mind if you issue more than 1 tenancy. So that's covered all of the areas where you could be deemed responsible for council tax. As we stand at the moment, if the tenant is resident, then they are responsible under a contract. Any questions?
Excuse my ignorance, but I pay council tax. Don't you have to live in the property yourself to pay council tax?
No, not under council tax regulations, no. If you think about it, if you're a landlord and you've got an empty property, I'm sorry I didn't put that on there. If you've got an empty property, you're responsible for the council tax. And it's gone up to 100%. They used to do 50% empty occupancy. You don't have to live in a property to be liable for council tax now. I had a huge argument with the council about certain liabilities that they gave to landlords, and it's so hard to argue with their case. But no, you don't have to be resident. Okay, EPC changes. Can you... sorry, sir, yeah?
Also, there's certain instances where there's discounts on council tax, like single person
Mhm.
discounts. So if it's unoccupied, do any of those discounts apply to yourself? Say, if, you know.
They used to, as Andy just said, they used to give you like, was it 50% or no? I think they used to give you 6 months of the year free.
Yes.
It used to be 6 months of the year free. So if you were a landlord and you had a few void periods, they'd give you that free. But that's now been removed as well. Told you they're trying to bash these landlords.
If you're like a single landlord owning a property that would
No.
have a single person discount, there was a single tenant.
No, because you obviously live somewhere else where you pay council tax, and any reductions will be given to you there, not here. Did you have a question, sir?
HMOs, are they looking to tax per room, HMOs?
Yeah.
Especially if you've got kitchens in there?
Yeah, I'm not talking very much about HMOs today, but I will cover that point if there's HMO landlords in the room. Councils are now, with HMOs that have either en-suites or kitchenettes in the rooms, councils are now rebanding the properties. I have an example of a building in Essex that we let and manage, and there are 6 rooms, and the council tax is responsible of the landlord, and the council tax was £2,000 per year. He's happy with that, that's fine, he responsibly pays it. Council went out and rebanded every single room, band A, average of £1,000 per room. That landlord's council tax bill is now £6,000 per year, and his model is no longer profitable. It is happening. It's not UK blanket wide at the moment, but it is happening in more and more councils. So those with HMOs, please bear that in mind. And the problem is, if you're in a fixed term, you can make no movement on the rent until that fixed term comes to an end.
I mean, who makes the decision? Is it the valuation office that makes the decision?
Yeah, it's the council, yeah.
Is there no fixed criteria? So some people say if you've got an ensuite or if you've got a kitchen and an ensuite and a certain size.
The one that I'm talking about is ensuite only.